Hi, my name is Sierra McNeil, and this is my presentation for power's role in the ability to respect and create. So, the text in the back of my collage is taken from a New York Times article talking about how many museums across the world now display art and artifacts seized or robbed from their countries of origin under colonial dominance. This is basically talking about how the Met 27 of their pieces were sent back to their original countries because they happened to be stolen, and their original countries were not aware that they had these artifacts, and they basically didn't consent to them having the artifacts. There's an island on the left-hand side, and on this island there's protesters. And these protesters are from the original countries that these artifacts are stolen from or bought from. And in my collage, I'm highlighting France and Egypt because we're talking about the Temple of Zender. And attached to this island, there's a chain, and this chain is basically showing the connection between subject and object and how that connection is still there, even though this artifact is placed on U.S. soil. The chain is also highlighting the fact that there is a connection between subject and object, between the native land and this artifact, and not the people in the United States and this new artifact that has been placed here. And the boat is just displaying how these artifacts were transported to the United States. So then going into some of the factors on the bottom of the collage. At the bottom, it is the Temple of Zender, and then you see a pharaoh, and then you see an ancient Roman leader, and then you see George Washington. So the pharaoh and Temple of Zender are kind of hidden behind this ancient Roman leader, and then that leader is hidden behind George Washington. But as you can see, George Washington and the Roman leader are both in full opacity. They have that ability to shine, and they shine in American culture. And pharaohs in the Temple of Zender, yes, it is placed on U.S. soil, but we aren't giving it the recognition that it is meant to have. Then placed on top of the Temple of Zender, you'll see the Kuksa cloisters at the very top of this mountain. And the mountain is basically to show that there is a hierarchy enforced even in the placement of the Temple of Zender and the cloisters. And the Temple of Zender is in this darkness at the very bottom. The cloisters are at the top, on the top of this hill, and because the cloisters are on a higher elevation, it's exposed to nature. You can see water from there, and it basically instills this subliminal hierarchy we have for these two architectural artifacts. Lastly, I want to touch on the brain that is walking, and it has like the American flag painted in this brain. That goes to show the perspective we have as Americans and how this subliminal hierarchy is instilled in us from society. So through media, through propaganda, even through us having these artifacts on U.S. soil, reinforces this hierarchy. And the hierarchy is what's shown in the very back. The pyramid having America at top, France in the middle, and Egypt at the bottom. Overall, this collage is meant to highlight the fact that this misuse and power, it has caused a misrepresentation in a number of cultural groups, and this translates into our education, media, language, even how architecturally we have represented the Temple of Zender and the cloisters here in America. And you can see that in the placement of the Temple of Zender and the cloisters. You can see how there's this element of disrespect with the fact that you see protesters on this island saying no, we don't want this artifact taken, and still the boat is going away and heading to the American soil with this artifact. You can also see the element of disrespect on the Temple of Dender, where there's graffiti on the side, and this graffiti was done by a colonial member who discovered this piece and wanted to put their stamp on it. Also, the pyramid in the background, yes, it is in the background, but it is showed big and boldly because this is a large issue. It's the elephant in the room when it comes to discussing historical artifacts. And as architects, it's often seen that certain cultural groups are highlighted more, are praised more than others. It is our duty as architects to see beyond the subliminal hierarchy that is ingrained in a lot of architecture that we see today. In order to do so, we must stay educated on all cultural groups so we know how to respect them properly. Even though we lack that connection between subject and object, it isn't an excuse to be disrespectful. And because we are in a powerful position in the American education system, it doesn't excuse any type of disrespect. As architects, we should investigate more into cultures that aren't highly covered and highly respected in America so we can appreciate those architectural practices and learn from them.